you're live. So, for those of you that don't know, this is the Timfluential podcast. This is actually the first one, so I'm excited. I have a good friend of mine that I used to work with me, Cooley Jaxson. If you haven't heard of him, Google his name. He's got a very interesting story. We hope to showcase that a little bit today, so without further ado, we're going to dive in. So, Cooley, can you just give us a little outline of yourself and your history, your background, what you've done?
Yes. How you guys doing? First of all, I've been dancing for years. I mean, when I say years, I mean years. I'm of age, been around before street dancing was really popular. I mean, to the point where people were just doing Soul Train type dancing, like Running Man, Cabbage Patch, just regular, whatever they see on Soul Train and do.
Yeah.
Well, back when I was in the 4th grade, I entered a contest. It was actually a talent show at my elementary school.
Okay.
And I just used to do regular dances, regular movements, nothing street dances, wise, just feeling the music.
Yeah. Make
a long story short, I ended up winning the contest.
Okay.
And that kind of motivated me, like, God, I want to be a dancer, seeing the audience applaud and give me, props, for just dancing.
Yeah.
The song I danced to was called Money Runner by Quincy Jones.
Okay.
You probably haven't heard it, but
I may have.
It's an old song.
Yeah.
But it's really fast, it's instrumental.
Yeah.
And so I came back the next year, and then I was in the 5th grade. The next year, my mother made me an outfit. The funny thing is I have pictures,
Oh, do you?
Not a lot, just like one picture of each time,
Yeah.
My mother made me this outfit and this white fur type thing, and I had a fur hat.
Yeah.
It was so funny,
Yeah.
Ended up winning again. That told me that, this is what I want to do for life.
You're like, I'm on to something.
I said, okay,
I found it.
I'm on it. So I ended up, winning. It was nothing big. I think it was no money, and it was a elementary school talent show. So that introduced me to my friend Brian Ramsey. Now, Brian Ramsey, mother was a teacher at the school.
Okay.
And Brian had a group called the Dynamite Kids, and they were doing locking style.
Okay.
And basically, they introduced me to the lockers. Meaning, brought it to my attention. There was a group out there, doing stuff. So we used to watch Soul Train, and then you see the lockers on there.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I learned how to do 4 moves in locking. That was it. I learned how to dive on my stomach, do the worm on the ground.
Okay.
Mule kicks when you hop to your hands and your feet.
Yeah.
And the alpha when you fall back on your hands and you kick up and then you clap and repeat it. And that's all that I had to do. So I just did regular dancing, and I would go into those particular dance moves. And I ended up getting into the group.
Okay.
So we weren't doing nothing much, just kind of dancing during lunchtime and, around friends and stuff like that.
It's freestyle dancing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this church offered us money to perform for the congregation, or it was like a banquet or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was something like, I want to say $50.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't much. And it was probably about 5 or 6 of us in the group.
Okay.
Didn't really have a routine. Just kind of clapped our hands, went out and did some solos. And we got paid, and we started saying, okay, well, we could make money at doing this.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I think we're on to something here.
Right.
So then we started listening to certain songs, all the old school songs of Brick, Confunction, Cameo, and we started hitting to the beat of their songs.
Okay.
So we started doing pointing, locking down, certain things called the Scooby-Doo, which is a dance move named after a dancer, Skeeter Rabbit as well. So we started connecting all the dots, and we started doing it in unison.
Okay.
And thus was born the Dynamite Kids.
Oh, wow.
Then we started making a name for ourselves. And then other jobs started, coming along. And the activities director from the junior high school, when we got into junior high school, he acted as like a manager.
Okay.
And he used to book us to dance lunchtime and assemblies at other schools.
Oh, wow.
And once again, when the girls started, giving us praise, and
You're like, here we go.
well, you figure this, I was playing football, and that's when you're growing up, that's where you get all the, the brownie points with everybody. But dancing, street dancing was equal. It was like being a street dancer was like being a football player.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Santa Ana.
Oh, okay.
Santa Ana, California.
Got you.
And at the time, I was going to a school called Cemetley. And then I ended up going to Spurgeon. And then I went to Santa Ana Valley. And then I went to Saddleback.
Okay.
So I ended up bouncing around in a lot of schools and stuff. So anyway, dancing always stuck the same. Now, the cool thing that I liked about dancing is it kept me out of gangs and stuff like that.
Right.
It didn't, and drugs. We didn't gravitate towards that way.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is what I see now is that kids don't have the outlet or the dream that we had. Meaning, my mom let me hook my whole garage up into a dance studio.
Oh, wow.
Now, check this out. We didn't know how to count. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a dancer's count.
Yeah.
We knew how to say 5, 6, 7, 8, and the rest was dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Making all these sounds and points, and so we ended up making up routines. My mother let me have the garage. We did not have mirrors, so we was used to looking at each other and looking down,
right,
and things like that. Then we started going to Disneyland and Magic Mountain, Knoxbury Farm, Universal Studios. They all had certain dance contests.
Okay.
Now this was, getting into about the 80s and things like that.
Okay.
And we started winning. Yes.
And so you're like, I'm going to keep this
you gotta
thing
remember,
rolling.
every time you win, it pumps the ego.
Oh, yeah.
It pumps the confidence. And that, God, we feel unbeatable.
Yeah.
Are we the only ones out here?
Yeah.
Then we started, running across other dancers. It's a group called the Robot Brothers. That was in my journey remembering. There was a tall brother, a medium brother, and a real little guy.
Yeah.
They were on the Gong Show as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the Gong Show too. But they were on the Gong Show, and we saw them, and all they did was doing robot moves.
Okay.
And we was doing like locking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we said, God, okay, well, we need to do that as well. So my best friend Casper started doing roboting. So we started adding all the elements. Also, being mentored by the lockers, and we just looked up to them like they were God. Like, oh my God, they are, the shiznick.
So you and Casper started early then?
Oh my God, yes,
early on.
Yeah. The funny thing about how we met, which is a real good story, is that he had his group called Casper and the Kids.
Okay.
And I was in the Dynamite Kids, and a lot of people kept saying, this guy named Casper said he can beat you in dancing.
Is he the same age as you or around the same age?
He's 2 years younger.
Okay.
And I said, really? I said, well, one day I'll meet him.
Yeah.
We'll talk it out or dance it out.
Yeah.
So finally when we met, I said, hey, what's up? He said, what's up? I said, so I hear that, you want to dance against me. And you could beat me. He said, I heard you said you could dance and beat me.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't say that. He said, I didn't say that either. And we started laughing. And from that point on, we became best friends.
That's awesome.
And so I brought him over. I said, so, when are you guys performing? Where's the next group? He said, well, my group just broke up. I said, you should join our group. He said, will you guys, let me? I said, well, it's not my group. It's Brian Ramsey's group. Let me go talk to Brian.
Yeah.
Talked to Brian. Brian nope, don't want to put
Really?
Casper in. Because, you know, he was a rival,
Right.
you know, person. And,
Yeah.
and this group broke up. It's like, oh, so sucks to be you, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want you in our group. So the two main ones in the Dynamite Kids was Brian Ramsey. He was the leader. And Manny. So with those two, they made a lot of decisions. And I was just a dancer in there. Although I had more of a sales attitude, meaning
Right.
I got all the gigs. As we got older, I was the only one that had a car that gives transportation to different places.
So you were like the group manager.
Kind of went that way. I
Yeah.
say, oh, just a gig over here. And we get the gig, I do the negotiation, get paid, and et cetera.
Okay.
So I was a huge asset to them because without me,
Right.
they're not really going to perform anywhere, you know. So we're performing at Santa Ana High School. And I told Casper, I said, just wait in the wings, man. I taught him the routine.
Yeah.
And we was dancing to Groove Line by Heat Wave.
Okay.
And I said, just wait in the wings. And I said, when I look at you, I want you to come out on stage and do your solo.
So was Brian aware of this?
No, they weren't.
Oh, okay.
They were not.
It was a sneak attack on him.
It was a big sneak attack. So when the solos came out and it was time for me to solo, instead of me going out, what I did is I looked and I called Casper out. And Casper came out and he did his dancing. And of course, Brian wasn't happy and he wasn't saying that he was going to stop it or do anything. And so Casper did his whole dance routine, and then he knew the dance routine. And I would say, this is a funny thing we talk about till today. In the routine, there must have been about, I would say, a dozen kicks and probably about 3 dozen knee drops.
Okay.
Not in a row, but throughout the whole routine.
Right.
So after we did the whole thing, Brian and Manny, they said, okay, yeah, Cass, you could be in the group and et cetera. So it was a good outcome.
Yeah.
And Cass was rubbing his knees. And he looked like he was in pain. I'm like, are you all right, man? He said, man, my knees hurt. What are you guys doing? How are you guys not feeling the pain?
Yeah.
I said, you don't have knee pads on? He said, you guys have knee pads on? I said, yeah, there's like underwear.
Yeah.
We wake up, we put our knee pads on.
Yeah.
We live with them. So he had no knee pads.
That's hilarious.
He had swollen knees. So that's a great memory on how he entered the group. So in a nutshell, that's how the birth of wanting to dance happened with me.
So how did you get from that point to the solid gold dancer days? Was it Casper was with you during that time, wasn't he?
Well, that's like the solid gold was later on.
Okay.
In the year. So with our group, there's another story that connects to that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's an amazing journey the way it works.
Yeah.
But Westminster Mall had this contest for $100, and they used to run contests like in the middle of the mall, set up a stage, and it'd be put on like Foot Locker, something like that. So we get there. It was me, Brian, and Casper. We was representing the Dynamite Kids, our group.
Okay.
And so we get there, we sign up, we're standing around, and the lockers walk in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was a uh-oh. Now here's the the group that we just had awe about, and it was like, oh my God, it's the lockers.
Yeah.
But we never lost a contest. So now we have this ego going against our mentors, but yet and still we're afraid as hell to dance against them.
Right.
They went on, they did their performances and stuff like that, and they were on point, had their outfits on, and we just had black pants and shirts and stuff like that. We had this particular ace in the hole, which was a dancing. What the ace in the hole was, we used to dance to 33 records like everybody else, the big albums. But when you put it on 45, it sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks. It speeds up.
Right.
Well, we used to dance that fast to the record halfway through our routine, simultaneously with no mistakes. Which, if you're seeing that, especially back then, it's like speeding up a tape,
right?
Like a videotape. And we just blew them away. So we ended up winning
Oh, wow.
the trophy and the money. And Alpha Anderson, who is my big brother till this day, swooped us up, and he started managing us.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we connected with the Lockers. And we are family from this day forth.
That's crazy. So that's just a little bit. That's just a little bit in the Cooley Jaxson dancing career.
Yes.
Obviously, the biggest claim to fame for you would be
Solid Gold.
Solid Gold.
Solid Gold.
And then so I'm just trying to figure out the timeline of how all this happened, because what I'm getting up, the buildup is for the Michael Jackson story. I know you were.
Well, before Solid Gold, there was Soul Train. And the story behind that is Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar and Jody Watley. They was invited down to a club called Ichabod's in Orange County. And Ichabod's is a lot of prostitutes and a lot of pimps. It was really, really what you would see out of a movie.
Right.
But nothing bad that we ran across. And we were underage. We weren't supposed to be there anyway. We was like, I think I was 16 and Casper was 14.
Okay.
And we would sneak in or dance for the bouncers and make friends with them, and they would just let us in.
Yeah.
Well, it was MC. Her name is Joanne. And everybody knew we was underage.
Yeah.
Joanne, she would run the contest, had Jeffrey and Jody as a judge. And our friend Cleveland Moses, he was a Soul Train dancer. He lives in Japan right now. Jeffrey's one of Jeffrey's best friends. Well, Cleveland was telling Jeffrey about this new style called popping. And he tried to explain it to him, and he said, how is that going to be a dance crave? And that looks horrible, because Cleveland wasn't doing it right, because he was jerking his arms and snapping his legs. He wasn't popping. He was jerking. He said, man, but you got to see this. And so by chance, Casper and I entered this contest, and we start popping and locking, and Jeffrey just lost it. He was like, oh my God.
Had you guys ever done it before, or was it one of those things?
We've done it before.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a story on how we learned, but we'll talk about that, you know, in a minute. But when Jeffrey saw us, he picked us up and he said, oh my God, you got to come down. You got to show me how to do a dance. I'm going to take you guys on Soul Train. Come on up. And we didn't know him outside of his fame. And Casper and I that night went to L.A. Was in L.A. for a whole week, taught Jeffrey how to pop. We made up a whole dance routine, and till this day, when I talk to Jody Watley, we always reminisce on this and laugh. That's crazy. About it. So Jody was there. I think they was dating at the time, and it was in an apartment. And then Jeffrey said, "Okay, we're gonna go on Soul Train. We're gonna need a name of the group." And he was talking about some dances like, yeah, we could be called let's see, the Poppins something.
Yeah.
And we was like, he said, or Eclipse. We said, yeah, Eclipse. That'd be the name. So, so that's how Eclipse name came about.
Okay.
Jeffrey Daniels made it up. So he set it up with Soul Train. We go on. And then there is a clip that's just all over the internet that everybody always watch, you know, which is us doing this particular dance. And that was the first time popping was introduced to America, meaning people were doing it, but it wasn't spread across.
Yeah, it was like here and there. You'd
Soul
have
Train
some people
connected
doing it.
So we are basically cloned to be the first ones to do popping on TV. And Boogaloos, they originated it, but we was like right before them. By introducing it. So I give a lot of credit towards them.
Okay.
But we was fortunate enough, you know, to have the chance to show America this new dance and just knock the boots off America.
Yeah.
So Michael Jackson saw that clip.
Oh, here we go. Here's the meat and potatoes of this story.
He had his manager call Soul Train. From my understanding, Cheryl Songs, she was an Asian girl that was on the show, picked it up, and she called my mother. And I have testimonial from my mother, this whole run about it. She called my mother. At that time, I was a working dancer. Because you got to remember, we recorded that, but it doesn't show until later. And
it doesn't air for a while.
And then they do reruns and all this other stuff. So I don't know when Michael Jackson got the chance to see it.
Yeah.
But I was working. I was playing Grover with Sesame Street Live.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, I was probably 17.
Oh, okay.
I want to say. Yeah, around 17. And I remember, no, I take that back. I was 18.
Okay.
I was 18 years old. And so I was in San Francisco. The tour was ending, but we had to finish it off. So my mom called me and said, boy, you better get down here. Michael Jackson's manager just called. And Michael Jackson wanted to learn to dance, and he want you and Casper to teach him. I said, well, I'm up in San Francisco. I'm doing the show right now.
Yeah.
Well, do what you have to do, and you need to get down here. So my mom ended up calling Casper's mom and told her. Casper's mom told him and connected those two with the manager. And this is where Casper and my story is different. What Casper doesn't know and his family is that my mom called his mom, but his mom is no longer with us, so she can't verify it.
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that my mom got the call first. And the reason why he got brought in is because my mother called there. So Casper took the call, took the information, and did everything. I flew down from San Francisco and hooked up with Casper. Our friend Sidney Bushnell was an acting manager, set up transportation with a girl named Shirley. Mind you, I was the only one driving at the time.
Okay.
Now, I always tell people, I said, if my mother did not get the call, Casper wouldn't have never called me because I was already working and I wasn't around.
Right.
So reason why I'm in the picture is because of my mom.
Got you.
Plus, Cheryl and Sydney wouldn't have had to been an issue because I had a car and Casper and I could have drove down.
Got you.
Casper didn't have a car, so he needed a ride, so Sydney set up transportation with Cheryl.
So is there any differences between you and Casper over the way the story went? Or you guys?
We're still brothers, and I tell him, like you and I, Tim, we can be walking, like right now, we're talking.
Yeah.
Stuff can be happening in the room and stuff like that. If we retold the story of what we're saying, it's still going to come out different because you see things your way 100%. And I see things my way.
Right.
It's two journeys. That's just the way life is.
Yeah.
So I'm telling my journey.
Correct.
But I also tell logic.
Right.
And the logic is Casper wouldn't have called me in San Francisco to come down to teach Michael. He just went and taught Michael, and I wouldn't have been in the whole element.
Yeah.
Reason why I'm in the element, because I got the call first. And I knew about it before he knew about it.
Gotcha.
So when I showed up, it was kind of surprise. But they couldn't cut me out. So Casper and I went down with Cheryl and Sydney.
But did they want to do that? Like, I'm trying to figure out
They
why.
didn't want to do it. It's kind of like...
they don't want you stealing
like
their
Captain
shine,
EO,
or
for instance. I wasn't in Captain EO because I was in Japan.
Okay.
But they weren't going to call me and say, Michael's doing Captain EO. Why don't you fly from Japan and come do it? You understand?
Yeah.
But if I'd known about it, I would have took the liberty to come down to do
100%.
it.
Yeah.
So that's the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you'll see like music videos and you see a lot of things with people street dancers who are in it and aren't in it because some was traveling, some wasn't traveling.
Yeah.
And it's not a mean thing. It's not a diss thing. It's just that, well, you know, Cooley, you're not here, so you're out working. And right now the opportunity perceives, so I'm going to go do it.
Okay.
But I knew about it. But he didn't know I knew about it.
Right.
So anyway, I explained to him the situation at the time, not saying that he remembered or don't remember, but the bottom line is he and I taught Michael Jackson how to do the backslide. So we drive down with Cheryl's car because she was already set up. We get down there, we go to these warehouses, and I'm cutting the corners just a little bit so we don't waste too much time. We go in, there's this window in a small room, and there's a love seat couch, there's a water cooler, there's a regular chair, there's a table, there's with magazines on it, there's a window. It's kind of like going into a doctor's office, that type of window.
Or a green room or something?
No, not a green room, but kind of like if you go to a doctor's appointment, you slide that stained glass, and there's a lady behind it.
Yeah.
But if she shuts it, you can't see her.
Right.
It's that type of thing. And we gave our name. She said, just have a seat. We waited. It seemed like it was forever. Then she slid it back and said, you guys could go in it. So all four of us got up, and they said, well, she said, no, just Cooley and Casper, you two wait here. So Casper and I walked through the door. I look in. I see the whole victory tour set up. So evidently the Jacksons was practicing or rehearsing, should I say, for the victory tour.
Okay.
And Michael probably was in the back changing because he had the meeting with us. We walk in. There was 3 director chairs, and there was a piece of linoleum on the floor, and it looked like a piece of the stage, and meaning the plastic that goes over the stage.
Right.
And then he had a boombox with LaToya Jackson's new song that he was working with. I don't know what song it was. I don't even know if it was released. But that's the music that we had. And we waited there forever. I look across the way, and from afar, I see Michael Jackson appear. He starts walking over. He introduces himself. We shake hands. And we sit down and we talk. And he asks questions, how long we've been dancing, where they come from. We gave him a little bit of history and background about it. And then, if you know me, my attitude is I take the leadership. Casper was more quiet.
Yeah.
I take the leadership, and I've always done it with our dance groups and everything. I say, well, maybe we should get up and show you how to do the dance move.
Yeah.
So we get up and we start doing it and showing it, and he starts looking at it, and then he starts to try. And then we say, basically, this is how you do it. He ended up picking it up right then and there.
Okay.
But for the 3 out of the 5 days that we was with them, I was with them for 3 days. Casper was with the whole 5. 3 to 5 days, Michael kept saying, I can't feel it. That high voice.
He really talked like that then.
Oh, yeah. He said, I can't feel it. I just can't feel it. I don't know. He kept saying that.
Huh.
And we saying, well, you're doing it. You're actually doing the actual move. He said, I know, but I just can't feel it. So we just kept working and doing a lot of talking, and then we started showing him other dance moves. I started showing, though, it's a circular move. This one thing Casper and I do agree on. It's a circular move, and that's called the moonwalk.
Yeah.
And I said, you could do the side slide, you could do the front slide, or you could do this. This is called the moonwalk. It goes in a circle, and then that's how moonwalk name came, is from me telling Michael about a dance move, and he put that to the backslide.
Okay, I was going to say he just shifted it around to a different dance.
Because the backslide has nothing to do with walking on the moon.
Right.
It's a backslide.
Right.
Meaning you go backwards, but you look like you're walking forward.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't have nothing to do with moonwalk. Walking in a circular and floating like no gravity.
Yeah.
That's the moonwalk.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And so the world doesn't know that. That's what cracks me up. This word moonwalk, they don't realize that I'm the one that gave Michael the idea.
You heard that right. Michael Jackson. Yeah.
For the moonwalk.
Yeah.
Without even knowing it,
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I ended up going back to finish out the show in San Francisco, Sesame Street. Casper had the last 2 days, so Casper ended up getting the paycheck. He gave me a little bit of the money. I can't remember how much it was. Let's say for shits and giggles that it was $1,000.
Okay.
It wasn't much at all. If Michael till this day would have gave us any credit, my life would be completely different. I would probably be historically famous.
Are you saying giving you any credit just like...
All he had to say is that Cooley and Casper taught me how to do the moonwalk.
Got you.
That's all he had to say.
Yeah.
Coming from his mouth, letting the world know. And when I tell people, I say, who choreographed Thriller? I'm asking you that. Who choreographed Thriller? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Right, it's Michael Peters. A lot of people think Michael have a lot to do with a lot of things. Vince Patterson and Michael Peters was basically his choreographers.
Were you in that video?
No, there's another story that leads to that. And the cool thing about that leads into my Solid Gold story.
Because I swear I thought you were in that video.
I was in Smooth Criminal. I'm the one.
Okay.
I'm the one doing the lean down to the ground.
Yeah.
And then coming up. I'm with me, Bruno, Casper, Jeffrey Daniels, and Michael.
Okay.
So I'm in that one. It's a whole nother story with Beat It, which is very interesting.
That's crazy.
And so I ended up, so with Bad, Beat It, Smooth Criminal, and Thriller, those are the 4 mega videos. Remember the Times was kind of like, it wasn't raw.
Yeah.
It was just, he was already, had the video stuff out, but when he did Beat It, it kind of opened the door for that type of style.
Okay.
And the Smooth Criminal was a whole production,
Gotcha.
And Thriller was a whole production.
Yeah.
Back then, where he had groundbreaking. A lot of people don't understand is that when Thriller first came out, they did an actual premiere, meaning in 2 days, Michael Jackson will have.
They promoted it and did all that. Yeah.
And they even have a countdown on TV.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was a whole like movie type.
Yeah.
Thing, and
I mean, it was. It's an awesome video if you haven't
until
seen
this day. People just get in awe.
Yeah.
And so he started the trend with all that, and to be a part of that history is just very, very wonderful.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you too. I know we briefly touched on it one day when we started talking about doing this podcast, but it could have been life-changing, like you said, if you would have got a little bit of credit from Michael for just, Cooley and Casper taught me the backslide
Well,
of the moonwalk.
he didn't blackball us.
Yeah, but he withheld the information. It wasn't like he was
I wouldn't
trying
say
to,
he withheld it. You got to understand, when it came to management, we had zero education. Michael,
Gotcha.
since a young kid, been around all that.
Yeah.
So he knows how the business works.
Uh-huh.
He never said he created it. Never said he made it up.
No, I got you. I'm just saying, like,
but he knows in the business people will think that way,
oh yeah,
and he would never correct them. That's where he's wrong.
right. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to say it, but essentially, he's not telling the whole story.
Yeah.
Which, I guess, what I'm getting at though is you mentioned something that day at work when I saw you, about. I've spent a lot of time, because Michael Jackson's just part of the story, you guys. We have a lot of different things that this guy's dabbled in his dancing entertainment career, let's say. Mm-hmm. And one of the things you said is, like, I've spent I've spent a lot of time around some of the most famous people in the world.
Yes.
And nobody knows who I am.
And I'm just invisible.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's funny to me is that when you have the Justin Timberlakes and the Ushers and the Christina Aguilera's and everybody else who's doing the dancing, even when, excuse me, guys.
No worries.
Even when Beyonce, you figure you have all these people, you got to understand, they didn't just start doing this. The way life works is they see something somewhere.
Right.
So if
They're
I was
influenced.
If I was in the public eye, they must have seen me on a show, perform somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know me from Adam, but I probably help drive them to want to do what they do and
right.
to making them the mega stars that they are.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to say. You work and you cross paths with certain people like Lionel Richie, Tony
right.
Basil, Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire, all these people who I've came encounter with. And if I just had 1% of credit from a lot of stuff that I've done, my life would be completely different. And now I walk around invisible. So I like to do the podcast and video cast just to clear the record.
Yeah.
Just to let those who are interested know the truth.
Yeah.
About what really happened. Not that it matters to everybody, because people are going to believe what they want to believe because they believed it so long. But it makes me feel good that at least I had the chance to give them the option to believe the truth or to run what they want to run with.
Right. I guess what I'm getting at is like, does it bother you because you didn't gain monetarily, or is it the fame?
It does, to be honest with you, it doesn't bother me. And that was the cool thing about Casper and I. For years, we never came out and said anything about working with Michael because we were just happy. We've been doing it for years. So we were just happy that we taught someone, on his level how to do it.
Yeah.
But when we started seeing commercials and cartoons and people talking about it and certain interviews and books coming out and all this other stuff and credit, we're like, okay, wait a minute.
We're missing out on something here.
This is pretty bigger than what we expect.
Yeah.
Then it started to hit home, and then other people started taking credit, like Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie, Bobby Brown, Shrimp, from Breaking.
Yeah.
Everybody started taking credit. We're like, wait a minute, you guys didn't teach him. Even Jeffrey Daniels. Everybody was taking credit for what Casper and I did. Then that was, what pushed us over the head. Just say, wait a minute, at least tell the truth, guys. Come on, keep it real. You may have worked with him.
Yeah.
No one's saying you did not dance with him or did not work with him, meaning choreograph something for him.
Right.
But you got to remember the truth. We did not teach Michael how to dance. We taught him how to do the backslide. That's it.
Right.
Now, he could have picked up on some of the other things like side slide or the moonwalk or other moves.
Right.
But our focus was teaching them how to do the backslide, and that was it. Now, yes, Bruno and Poppin' Pete and Shrimp and Jeffrey and all these other people, they probably did work with him and teach him some or clean up something or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But let the record stay straight that Casper and I was, the
first. It's true.
We're the alphas.
Yeah.
We're the alphas that started the whole thing with Michael, not saying that he wouldn't have learned it somewhere down the road.
No, but he saw you guys and reached out, and
that's how it went. And you can't change history. And that's the cool thing about it. He's no longer with us. And our stories are in lock, and we got so much proof. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, how did the whole ABC interview go down, or how did that come about? ABC, for those that you don't know, ABC came to Thunder Valley Steakhouse, High Stakes, and did an interview with Cooley there. How did you get that, or how was that set up? Did they reach out to you?
Yeah, they did reach out to me. It's kind of funny. They reached out to me on Facebook.
Okay. Wow.
out of all places. Yeah. And I thought it was a scam. I didn't really take it for serious. And I never answer back to those things. I just delete them or, ignore them. But I read it, and it seemed pretty sincere. It was an editor out of New York. I answered back. Then they answered back. And I said, okay, this is probably, legit. It was called The Last Days of Michael Jackson. It was doing a whole piece on him.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted to interview me. Now, so everybody out there know, this is part of the proof of me and Casper working with Michael, because when you have a company like ABC, they will not risk getting sued.
Right.
Over some bull.
Yeah.
They would kick me to the curb and say, you're lying, whatever. So that means they had to do their research before they even reached out to me.
I was going to say, they're not even going to reach out to you without having their ducks in a row.
Yes. And so even till this day, it is what it is. You can't hide the truth.
Right.
And that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So and I get Rolling Stone magazine. There's so many different places and companies that interview me. It's a company in Japan about a couple of years ago interviewed me, this whole thing. And they interviewed Jackie Jackson in the same interview.
Huh.
So my point being is that out of the dozen of interviews or more that I've done, I never had a seat and assist.
Yeah.
I never had any lawyers, come back on me or anything like that, because I didn't say I taught Michael Jackson to dance.
Well, not just that. These companies are
truth.
reaching out to you for a reason. They're not doing it because hey, my friend told me that Cooley taught Michael. You know, there's
or somebody put some false stuff
Yeah.
online.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of people in the entertainment and music industry, and they can verify a lot of things.
Well, the cool thing is now that the truth is starting to come out more.
Yeah.
And you got to understand one thing. And I am 59.
Wow. You never know that.
Right. I will be 60, and I look 40-ish.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about that is when you do the math with working with Michael, because he was, 2-3 years older than me. When you do the math, then it works. But if you do the math with Bobby Brown, it doesn't work. If you do the math with anybody else, it doesn't work. What was they, babies?
Yeah.
You understand? So that's why I try to tell people is that when it comes to the proof, and then the other thing is Soul Train. Okay, well, that makes sense. Soul Train was so big, we danced to Working Day and Night.
Yeah.
So think about it.
Yeah.
If someone plays your song, it's all about copyrights.
Right.
Michael and his people are going to, check. What's happening here? Okay, well, it's on Soul Train. These guys are dancing to Working Day and Night. That's my song. Oh, what they're doing. Number 3, if you see the clip, you can pull it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm the only one doing the actual backslide. We backslide coming in. We backslide when we exit. But I actually do the backslide in my routine, in my solo routine.
Okay.
So obviously that's what Michael saw. So there's a lot of different connections. And again, I'm not pushing certain buttons and tit for tat for little dance moves. I'm just letting the audience know that there's so much proof that's out there now.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, well, what's the proof with everybody else?
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
Right.
I was watching Wendy Williams, and when Charlie Wilson said he taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk, I was laughing so much.
He said that? Uncle Charlie did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Technically, he didn't say he did. He said that Baby Gap, that was a street dancer that was dancing for them. I know them. They came to Solid Gold and everything. But I'm saying that was Michael knew it way before that.
Yeah.
He said that Michael was in the wings watching Baby Gap do the dancing. And then when they came off stage, Michael was gone.
Huh.
But I'm saying he's just looking. That's not teaching. That's just looking to see something that he is doing himself.
Yeah.
And he's just doing his research. He was not learning. And that's what ticks me off.
Yeah.
People like Charlie Wilson, stuff like that, should know better to promote something like that without getting his facts together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would not be saying nothing if I didn't have facts.
So does it bother you that, do you feel the need to prove that? Or is it just because...
I don't feel the need to prove it, but it's kind of like, let's say if I'm blessed enough to do something famous, and I go on Wendy Williams.
Okay.
And in my outline information that she would get about what I've done in life, it says I'm one of the guys who taught Michael Jackson moonwalk. Well, that's going to be a big asterisk, a question mark.
Right.
It's going to be like, well, Charlie Wilson said he taught him. How can you teach him? And then Charlie taught him.
Yeah.
And you got to understand, Charlie's a bigger name.
Yeah.
So I would have to have all my facts together. And the way to get the facts together is do podcasts and prove things. And when I do my video podcast, we have paycheck stubs. We have concert tickets. We have not many pictures. You got to remember, we didn't have cell phones back then. We could take all the pictures. And it's when Michael's on that level, you get a picture with him at the opportunity that comes. I was hanging around with Michael and Emmanuel Lewis. That's Webster. And I have a lot of pictures with Webster, because we was like best friends.
Yeah.
And there was Webster and Solid Gold was on the same lot. So that's how I got the connection. And as you know, Michael used to hang out with Webster back then. So Emmanuel Lewis would come down and he would watch us do Smooth Criminal. So I was waiting with Emmanuel to hang out with Michael and Emmanuel, and Michael was taking a picture. And Michael looked and said, Cooley, come take this picture with me. And that's the only picture I have of Michael and myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean,
And
not a lot of people can say that.
Only picture.
Yeah.
And it was from an instant Kodak camera. The
Polaroid?
kind in the box.
Yeah.
Remember those yellow boxes and
Yeah.
the disposables?
Yeah.
It was with one of those.
Prints out the little...
They didn't print it out. No,
No.
this one you had to take down to the actual
and have
photo
it
booth
developed.
and have it developed.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't make a big deal out of it, saying, well, if it happens, but I ended up getting a copy of it, and that's the only copy I have of
That's wild.
Michael and I.
So did you guys, how long did it take to film what video did you say it was?
Smooth Criminal?
Smooth Criminal video, yeah.
If I had to guess, I would say 6 weeks to 8 weeks.
And you only got one damn picture with the king of pop?
Only one.
That's
You got to remember, it was a lot of people there
Yeah.
too. And he has security guards. Everybody wants to be around him.
Yeah.
And when you're a dancer, you don't want to act as a fan.
Right.
We're a friend.
Yeah.
So you stand back and let him have his moment.
I got you.
But when it's time to do something, then it's not like he had the time to do it. So
Yeah.
he invited me over to take the picture. I didn't say, Michael, can I have a
Right.
picture? I was just standing there.
Right. And I'm thinking in today's world where it's like, like you said, everybody has a high definition video camera and photography camera in their hand at all times, and they can, catch a moment anytime. So back then it was like, if you didn't have,
What was the chances you?
Yeah,
if you had
slim to none.
The funny thing is, I don't even know who camera that was. It wasn't my camera.
Yeah.
So someone took a picture, and I ended up getting a copy of it. I don't even know how I got a copy of it.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. I have a copy, but I don't know where it came from. I just know it was taken. But that's how lucky I am with that, because he's no longer with us, and that's
Right.
the only picture that I have.
Yeah.
Casper have a couple of more pictures, because he in his career is more in tune with Michael.
Uh-huh.
I, on the other hand, took other avenues with performing and becoming my own person, not riding on the coattail.
Yeah.
Because Michael was the
That's
star.
awesome.
I didn't want
My
to be
own star.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to be Cooley Jaxson.
Yeah.
And that's how
It's
it goes.
crazy when I think about it full circle. It's crazy to me because when we've seen the Michael Jackson impersonators that have come to Thunder Valley, that they go around casinos and they do fairs and stuff like that, and it's always this build up to how good they can do the moonwalk.
That's right.
And then you, if I was you and I saw that, I'd be like, man, because the crowd goes crazy. If you go on YouTube right now and you look up Michael Jackson moonwalk, and he's doing it live at shows, the whole place just erupts when he starts doing the moonwalk. For you, if I was you, I'd be sitting there like, damn, I was a big part of this.
Yeah, but what can you do?
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying in a good way. Like
it happens inside. Internally, we always do it, Phil. We always give props.
Yeah.
But the thing about, I'm trying to equal something now. Let's say Katy Perry, or name another artist. Let's say Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Good dancers.
Yeah.
The thing with the performance is you get applause after. Even now, what was the Golden Globes that just happened? What just was on TV?
Something like that.
Yeah, something was on TV. And you got great performers. But what we shared with Michael is the street dance knowledge. Thing with street dancing is you set up applaud points. And what does that mean? That means you do your dancing and you do something in your performance that makes people applaud.
Right.
Michael was the only entertainer doing that. That's why when he would do the moonwalk, when he's singing, in the middle of his performance, people would applaud, or he do in some other dancing.
Right.
And that's what you do as a street dancer. You set up all your aces in the hole.
Right.
So if you have 4 amazing dance moves, you do a dance move up to your first crescendo dance. You do a dance move, next one. Do a dance move, next one. So as a person's watching, they see in their groove and all of a sudden, oh, wow, and they applaud. Then they watch, oh, wow, then they applaud.
I got you.
So you ride them through the entertainment.
You're keeping them hooked.
And then you keep crescendoing it. You do a better move, a better move, a better move. If it ends up flipping off the back of the stage, you do it until the last bow. And then that's when you get the standing ovation or your big applause. Well, Michael was groomed from us to do stuff like that. So acts these days aren't doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're not good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
absolutely. It's just a different
it's
world.
They're not using us like Michael did.
Yeah.
When Michael passed, we passed, meaning we all got regular jobs.
Right.
He kept us employed. He kept us with the fame. He
Right.
kept us in the light. We shared our knowledge with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We always kept him on top.
Yeah.
But right now, Janet was riding on the coattail of Michael. That's why she got the dancers. And she was doing the same thing. But when Michael passed, she's not doing it no more either.
Well, I mean, she's really not known for the moonwalk by any means, but
Rhythm Nation, that type of style. She went with a lot of jazz dancers, and then she got some street dancers too.
Gotcha.
Which is like obviously we're all friends.
That's what I'm getting at though. Did they ever did her management company or manager ever reach out to you guys?
Not to us. Michael, the only crossover, I would say, dancer that I can think of is Eddie and Lavelle.
Okay.
They were Michael Jackson's. He was Michael Jackson. Those two are dance background for Michael Jackson and sung.
Okay.
And he also was in Janet Jackson's "What Have You Done for Me Lately" in Rhythm Nation and
Gotcha.
Rhythm Video. So that was the only two that worked on both sides that I know. And they're jazz dancers,
Gotcha.
not street dancers. But as for everything else, Michael really employed the street dancers and a lot of stuff that he did.
Yeah.
Chris Brown, there's a lot of people who do street dancing. They try to do it, but Michael cared about employing street dancers and giving us the platform to share that with the world.
Gotcha.
His only Achilles heel is that he did not want anybody to upstage him.
He didn't want nobody showing me up on the stage.
Right. So there's a lot of footage on the floor that people didn't see that is really good. But, we can't, upstage Michael.
Yeah.
So you gotta understand that. So that's what I meant. He's smart.
Yeah.
He grew up in the business. He knew what to have and what not to have.
I think a lot of people in the spotlight, whether it's sports, dancing, or whatnot, when they make it to that point in their life where they are the man, like right now, Chris Brown is the most comparable person I can think of.
Him and Usher.
Yeah, him and Usher. And those guys are you're never going to hear stories like this about how, Chris was doing breakdancing at the basketball courts when he was a kid or whatever the story.
You figure Bruno Mars as well. Bruno Mars been doing dancing since he was he used to do Elvis impersonation.
Yeah.
And he can dance.
Yeah.
And he can move.
Yeah.
But tell me one famous Bruno Mars dancer. Only other person that ever promoted their dancers besides Janet and Michael was MC Hammer.
Yeah.
He was the only one that had star dancers that stood out outside of him.
Yeah.
But they never upstaged them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of great dancers there, and that's just the business. But being a backup dancer is really an invisible gig.
Yeah.
You're there to collect a paycheck, to have your personal resume raised, but nobody's going to know who you are once you leave that stage.
Did you know that going into it, or did you have that mindset going into it?
Well, we were street dancers.
Yeah.
You got to remember, jazz dancers, they take dance classes. They raise from they're young, and that's their goal, is to do all that stuff.
Got you.
We just started dancing
In the garage.
the street, we're going around, and we were a novelty act. So we were in there just to give that applaud that I was talking about.
Yeah. Was there was it a saturated market or quite the opposite for street dancers?
There's was there handful. A lot of them? You have your A, B, C levels. You have your A-list, street dancers, which obviously are all the ones that, like Shabadoo, myself, Alpha, Deputy, Casper, Scooby-Doo. You have us all at the top that did a lot of things.
Yeah.
Lionel, Big D. Then you had your B level, which means the people who was performing in cruise ships, Vegas,
right,
stuff like that. Then you had your C levels of people in the street that was performing in front of the Chinese Theater,
gotcha,
San Francisco. So you have all your levels.
Yeah.
I was an A-lister, obviously. And to get on that level, you have to maintain it.
Yeah.
Because yes, it can be lost.
Yeah.
Because somebody in C level can end up doing this amazing move. And if you go online right now, you see some stuff that makes me like, I'm glad I grew up when I grew up.
Yeah.
Because I was like, God, oh my God, they defying gravity and doing these dance moves now, and I'm like, wow.
That's one cool thing though, because I've seen you at the talent show. You've done your routines quite a few times. I've seen them, and I'm like, damn. One thing I will say about Cooley is that you're never gonna let that era or that time frame. Mm-hmm. You're never gonna let that generation of street dancing die. It's something that
it's the rock.
Yeah. Well, you haven't changed at all, so you haven't like adapted to. You're not adapting your style to what's hip or what's new now.
If I come up with a new schooler, that's what I call them. Uh-huh. New schooler come. First thing I say to them, it's almost like, I like to use this analogy. Tom Brady. I don't care what you have to say or what people think. Not saying you personally, but just saying in general. Until you reach his status, shut the hell up.
Right.
And I'm the same thing with street dance.
No, I 100% agree.
I'm like, I don't have to prove myself to you. I don't have to dance against you. I don't have to do nothing. When you come to my level and do everything that I've done,
right, then
let's talk.
Yeah.
And that's, I like to use that Tom Brady analogy.
Yeah.
Mahomes is great, but he has a long way to go before he start talking.
Well, when you're filling up your second hand with rings,
it's not really the rings. It's just what he's done. Just in general, what he has done, what he has proven. And the nail in the coffin was this last Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
And for anybody, not changing the subject, but I'm using this as an example, but for anybody to equal Tom, there are hurdles upon hurdles upon hurdles because, as you know, with your cousin being traded, as you know, with injuries, there's all these hurdles that has nothing to do with football. With dancing, it's the same way. Our hurdle was Michael passing away, Janet Jackson getting pregnant. She stopped.
Yeah.
It's Paul Abdul retiring. All these hurdles. Tony Basil, not singing no more. All these people that we depended on for the fame to get to that A-list position,
right,
aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
So you say to yourself, who all was doing the street dancing at that point? Nobody.
Yeah.
This was an introduction.
Yeah.
That never, ever, ever died.
Yeah.
There's dance moves that they went out, mashed potato, four corners, running man.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gone. Even Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
All these
they're
gone.
gimmicks.
Street dancing weathered the storm. Till this day, it's still on top.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the viewers know out there, but 2024, the Olympics is having breakdancing now.
Oh, what? Mm-hmm. Is it the Summer Olympics?
Summer Olympics 2024.
Wow. Where's that being held at?
Paris.
Paris? Nice.
Yep.
And Are you going?
I'm working on something, trying to become a judge for a breakdance team, or an advisor for it, or a judge that will be judging the talent. it's a whole nother story, but I'm working with a young lady named Stacy, and we're sending letters out to the Olympic Committee, and I'm explaining them my background. And because to me, if they're going to have a breakdancing in the Olympics, who's going to judge it?
Yeah.
How can a French guy who never street danced in his life judge it? It should be judges of people of my caliber who know what to judge.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. But so back to what I was saying about generations of it, though, it's going to be different because the breakdancing now is night and day difference between when you were doing it. And that's what I'm saying. Like you haven't broke away from what made you the dancer that you are, you know?
Right.
Like a lot of people will kind of change up, for lack of a better term, and do the things that people are interested in now. Like you look at a guy like Usher, a guy like Chris Brown, that they're doing twists and flips and doing all this crazy stuff. And you look at it back in the day where when you were doing the TV thing, and it's a totally different vibe. It's more of like a snappy, like, you know, it's a totally different feel. I don't know how I explain it because I'm not a dancer.
Well, it's like music.
Yeah.
You figure you have songs in the 50s that doesn't sound like the 60s, and 60s doesn't sound like 70s,
Right.
and etc. It stopped at 2000.
Okay.
2000 till now, music's the same.
Yeah.
And I think it plateaued. I think the last change, and you probably would agree, would be 90s style. And because of Dre and people like that, Eminem,
Yeah.
that's when they brought out this whole new style, this whole new flavor.
Huh.
Best era was the 80s. 80s, no matter what type of style you listen to, country, rap, R&B, funk, any style
Yeah.
you would dance to.
That's true.
Every style is excellent.
That's true.
Was
I
excellent.
never really thought about that, but that's true. Yeah.
There's some there. You know, you in the 50s you listen to rock and maybe Motown, you know, and all that type of stuff. And that was it.
Yeah.
Everything else was there, but those was the two, like, bam.
Damn.
70s disco.
Oh yeah.
Disco took the run. You still was rock, still was funk, but
Yeah.
disco was at the top.
That took over.
80s, everything was at the top.
Really?
Van Halen. I'd never listened to rock, but you got like Van Halen and
The hair bands.
hair bands.
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
England opened up with a whole new generation.
Yeah.
Beatles started it, but like Tears for Fears and
Yeah.
Flock of Seagulls, and there's all these other groups that appeared. Men Without Hats. All it was just a revolution.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You could go to an 80s station, you could listen to it for 3 hours, and there's not one song you won't like.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know,
Actually,
and so
I'm a huge fan of music. That's if I had, you know, a musical talent or of some kind, then I'd pursue something in the music industry because I absolutely love music. I got J. Cole behind you, and he's one of the most inspiring artists.
I remember you were talking about
Yeah,
that.
it's just more of it's more of the message that guy sends and the way he lives his life and the beliefs that he has and how they've changed throughout his career. He was knocking on Jay-Z's door forever trying to tell him, like, give me a shot. And he was fortunate enough to where, you know, that opportunity presented itself and he took advantage of it, and here he is. But he also was that young kid that was like, I'm trying to be a rapper with the chains and this and that. And throughout his career, he's kind of showed like there's more to this industry and more to life in general than just look at me, look at what I got, look at my money. Like he's on another level compared to a lot of guys in the music industry, and that's why I love him so much. So
Yeah.
Not to shift gears too much, but I do want to showcase a little bit more of your life, and the fact that you were a Power Ranger is something that is the last thing that most people would probably expect to hear at this point. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? How did you get into that? I mean,
Obviously, when you are an A-lister,
yeah,
meaning Hollywood comes calling.
yeah,
So whenever something pops up, they said, what about this person? What about that person?
Yeah.
What about Cooley? They seeked me out. I was on a cruise ship. Saban wanted to do a live show to travel around because the Power
Saban
Rangers.
is that, who's this?
Saban was the one that he bought the rights for the Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he was a promoter turned director, producer, got the rights for the Power Rangers. They were called the Gold Rangers, and they're from Japan.
Okay.
Motorcycle riders. That's what they are. That's why they look like motorcycle suits.
Gotcha.
They are motorcycle suits with motorcycle helmets.
Yeah.
And so Saban had Anita Man. She was basically the person that started my whole life career.
Oh, wow.
I got probably 90% of my gigs was from her.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so Anita got the choreography job. She introduced my name. I really, really didn't have to audition. I was just given the job. So I was told I was going to do the the Red Ranger. And I go down. Then when I go down for the fitting, they fitted me for the White Ranger. Well, this is when, everybody remember this episode. The Green Ranger gets killed or captured or he disappears. And the Power Rangers are looking for him. And then a new Ranger emerges, and it's the White Ranger. Had him come out, when he was talking to...
and that was you?
It wasn't me, but that was... I think it was... what's his name? I don't have brain fart right now.
Yeah.
But the one played Tommy.
Yeah.
And Jason Frank.
Okay.
It was Jason Frank, and he came out, and he went from green to white. Well, there was changing the kind of costumes over.
Uh-huh.
So I did certain karate moves. It's kind of hard to explain when it comes to union. They weren't union, but they followed union rules.
Okay.
Power Rangers broke up because they weren't getting paid advertising. Meaning all that marketing stuff, they got nothing. Zero.
Now, are you talking about the
So-
original group?
The original group. The original group. The
Okay.
original one and the next level group.
Okay.
Well, when Aisha was the White Ranger. And I can't think of his name, but the Asian guy was the Black Ranger instead of Walter.
Gotcha.
And so they changed up, actors because of union.
Okay.
So a lot of the actors didn't want to finish shoots. So they got people like me in
To
the
fill that
costume
role?
to fill that, so they didn't have to pay them, or they can leave. Yeah, go ahead and leave. We put somebody else in a suit. They don't care.
Well, then nobody's going to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of got my foot in the door.
How long?
For that.
How long did you work with them?
With that was like about a year.
Okay.
And then I did 2.5 years on the road. That's when I got offered the job to do the traveling show. Then they had an East Coast and a West Coast.
They were doing shows like on the road, just
Yeah, you
live.
you can find it online.
live shows?
It's called Power Rangers Live.
Huh.
And there was a guy named Sonny. He played the White Ranger on the West Coast tour. And then I played the White Ranger on the East Coast tour. It was 2 tours that went out, about cast of 22 each. And probably it was 12 rig trucks, but it was divided in 2. So 6 rig trucks to carry the whole show.
That's
how
crazy.
That's how big the production was. That's like amazing just for a show. And we sold out everywhere we went.
How old were you when you did that?
Ooh, I can't remember, but I was always the oldest. I would say that was 96, 97, somewhere
Okay.
on there. So
So this is after the Michael Jackson days.
Oh yeah. This is right before I moved to Tahoe,
Okay.
which again is a whole nother different story.
Yeah.
But
Well, you bounced around then. I didn't realize you were from Santa Ana. I know you said your father was down there, but yeah, I've flown into that airport going down to see my cousin a few times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so funny. And then they offered me the tour, and I said sure, because I got to be my own ranger.
Yeah.
And paid really, really good money. Got to see the whole East Coast.
Huh.
Traveling around, planes, bus, a lot of different ways. Ended up going to Mexico, and that was weird
Gotcha.
because the track, everything was pre-recorded.
Oh,
the
really?
track was in Spanish, and we went to Australia, and that's when it ended.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did they just tell you we're not going to do this anymore, or how did it?
No, the tour ends, and they say, "Well, we got a couple of more gigs. Are you interested in getting it picked up?" And
Oh, okay.
or they stopped booking it, whatever. But that was at the pinnacle, the height of
Right.
the Power Rangers is when I was a part of it. Now,
See, if you were just a normal dude walking down the street, and you were just like, well, you are. I mean, you could literally right now walk
invisible.
down the street
Invisible, like
and
I
be
told
like,
you.
so I taught Michael Jackson the moonwalk, and I was a Power Ranger in my life. People are going to look at you like you are high as hell, dude. But it's true. You lived it. You
or
have
like,
the proof.
There's no secret. I like getting pedicures and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm a man
That's
who
a
likes taking care of myself. And I got one yesterday. And the
Oh, okay.
and the girl who was doing it, I told her that, and she was like, "Wow, you're like the most famous person I get to do this." 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm very modest at it.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting and talking to her. I'm telling her the story, and she was so in awe, like wow. And but just like you said, I was
Yeah.
just a regular person who walked in
Yeah.
as a customer. Then I shared my life, and then next thing you know, I made a friend.
The downside of it in today's world is there's so many haters out there that majority of the people you tell that to are going to be like, yeah, right.
But the upside of it is you can't lie about things like you used to back in the day.
Right.
You say something, people will pull out their phone right there. And I've done that. I said something to, say, a group of 3 guys.
Yeah.
And one of the guys, and I see him pull out his phone, and he'll Google it. And he said, yeah, it's true. It's right here.
I mean, on the flip side, though, it's like you got so many people bullshitting these days that you don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Back in the day, you could say, for instance, last night I saw Coming to America
Yeah.
2, on Prime. And with all the people, you could say, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
How are they going to know?
Right.
But now,
Right.
now
even-
if you would be IMDb, which I'm on that as well.
Yeah.
If you've done something, it would be on IMDb, and the proof will be right there. So
Yeah.
if you say something or write something, it would be straight out lie. Because
Well, the challenging
it's not
part about
credited.
yours, is that whole story that you just told in those times, like we were saying, people didn't have the world at their fingertips like they do now. So a lot of that stuff was off the record. There was no, solid proof of it. Like nowadays, people are taking pictures when they go, get frozen yogurt. Like that, you literally have a video camera and a regular camera in your hand at all times, so you can capture the moment at any given time.
And the listeners out there understand, yes, that's how it was.
Yeah.
But I think more powerful than that is Google,
Oh yeah.
because you can Google anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And someone, I mean, if you want to know a historic fact, if you want to know what's happening now, if you want to know when you're gonna get your stimulus, I mean, I mean, you could Google anything,
Yeah.
and it will pop up. And that's the world, and that's how we're going.
Yeah.
That and wearing masks, but that's what I see towards the future.
Yeah. Well, with Google though, it's even then. There's, like you said, IMDb. There's a handful of them. Like when you hear sports news saying like so and so signed with the Rams, if it doesn't say Sports Center Adam Schefter, most of the time you might want to double and triple check it. But there are those sources like IMDb out there that that have credible information that
it's a double-edged sword, meaning if the company don't push and present the information in the correct way, you could be in a movie and you could be a dancer or extra and you won't get that credit.
right.
you have to be a dancer that is signed under dancers. So when
Oh,
they get the
100%.
information and they present it, you will be attached to it.
Yeah.
Now, I've done so much stuff, and IMDb didn't give me credit for it. Then I had to send them information and video clips and stuff and prove to them
Gotcha.
that it was there.
Interesting.
So the stuff that's on there, I had to prove because, like you said, a lot of stuff weren't sent out, and it wasn't a huge credible thing. It was a thing that's being built. Now it is the thing.
Yeah.
So if I do anything now, like for instance, the ABC, interview, it's not on my IMDb.
Really?
Right, exactly. It should be. But if I send the clip to them and the information, then they would put it on there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that type of route. And I have the Pro, IMDb Pro. So
Yeah. Well, I know like Wikipedia, for instance, you can
change that on the fly.
you can change it on the fly. It'll get pulled down eventually if it's not accurate information because they'll check it later. I don't know how far they go into to verifying information that you're putting up there, but it sounds kind of similar to that with IMDb. They probably go a little more in depth on verifying.
You have
it.
to. You can't. Yeah, they deep in debt.
Yeah.
It's you have to sign in. You have to join and sign in.
Yeah.
You can't just do it on the fly.
Right.
So
what projects? I know I want to get some information out to these guys so that when you start up the Zoom podcast idea that you have, that they can go find it, where they can find it, that sort of thing. So,
well, right now the name of it is called Beat the Street. DA, Beat the Street. I had to do that because that's the only domain that was available. And beating the street is a double meaning I beat the street and made it out of the street.
Yeah.
Meaning I did not
You won.
fail. I won. Then the other one is beat the street, meaning I'm beating the truth out of the street because there's so many different stories and journeys.
Got you.
So you need to know the truth. Let's beat the street. Let's tell the truth.
Yeah.
Let's get to the nitty gritty.
I like that idea.
Of course, they had the beat music.
Correct.
Beat. So
Yeah.
that's why I came up with that and got a copy written and stuff like that. Matter of fact, today we shoot our first episode.
Okay.
Today, so I get ready to go pretty soon.
Yeah. No worries.
And
no worries.
And we're shooting it at my place, and it's not going to be live.
Okay.
What we're doing. So we're going to shoot it, edit it up, and we're going to start promoting it 10 days before it's released.
Gotcha.
So we'll be releasing it on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so of course you will be getting a link.
Gotcha.
But we're going to be shooting, I think tomorrow or something like that. It's a little bit harder because we bounced ahead, an hour or so.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
But what we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to do these small little 10-second clips.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. It's an idea I came up with. It'd be like
little teasers.
Yeah, and it's like I'll be walking down the street, then I turn around, look at the camera, and say, "Who was one of the guys that taught Michael Jackson to moonwalk? I did that." That's all it is. Like, who was a Power Ranger? I did that.
Yeah.
Who was a solid gold dancer?
Dropping little flakes.
But I may be washing my car. Then I
Yeah.
raise up. Who did so and so? I did that.
Yeah.
Or step in some dog poo. Oh my God. Who did
That's funny.
I did that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of comedy things. So we're going to be hitting about a dozen of those things, and we're going to be throwing them out. You'll start to see them.
Gotcha.
And-
Who are you working with that?
I'm working with Tony. He, Tony Brown. He was the limousine driver.
Okay, I was going to say I know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Brown. Yeah. So he's been hanging with me tough almost 2 years now.
Is he
He even
been
helped.
in the
He even helped me
industry
with
at
the ABC thing.
all? Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, we've been working together. We have all our equipment. He has his. I have mine. We collaborated together, and we are kicking butt.
Yeah. There you go. One thing a good friend of mine always tells me, It's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely that's been huge for you in your career. You just you cross paths with the right people at the right time.
Just like Justin, working with him too.
Yeah.
Justin Chandler, yeah.
Yeah, Justin's a good dude. We need to link up for a podcast soon.
Yeah,
so.
I talked to him about it. You know, he's having a baby boy, where his wife is. And, you know, I'm very proud of him. You know, he's a co-worker.
Yeah.
So
he's a good dude, man. I've talked to Justin quite a bit, and he reached out to me actually about the podcast, so I need to get back with him and see what he's thinking.
Yeah.
Try to help him out. I'm the type of guy, like, this whole setup I just kind of researched over a period of time and just pulled the trigger on it. And a lot of people have come to me like, man, they've seen the pictures of the studio and they're like, man, where did you get? That's some nice equipment. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I will give you the keys to the
What I
castle.
like about it, man, is it's not a lot. It's nice.
It's very.
It's convenient.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
In my studio, have everything.
Yeah. You got everything.
I got that.
Yeah.
I got keyboard. I got old school keyboards. I got, like I said, with the effects on your voice. I got 3 ways of doing it. I got auto tune. I got the V3, and I have the keyboard like Roger Troutman. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I have, but that's just the way I was brought up.
Right.
I was signed with the record company for 7 years, so it's kind of like it's kind of hard to break that mold. You know what I mean? You just got it mindset. Now everything is so simplified.
Yeah.
I'm running 3 computers, so.
Yeah. Well, this thing is a complete standalone system. I can literally take this anywhere, plug it into a wall, have an SD card plugged into it, and record hours and hours and hours.
Wow.
And it's mixed in here. I can do post-production to it. But a lot of that's all done through here. It's very, very user-friendly as well. So
what time we got right now? I know I have to.
It's 12:55. I was just getting ready to wrap it up. I just wanted to find out. I want to, promote your podcast idea that you have going, and
then maybe we do it again next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell you some more. We still got to touch in on breaking and.
Oh, we got a lot of bullet points to hit. We're just almost to an hour and a half now. So Cooley, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it too.
Very soon though, we'll get back to this whenever you got time.
Okay.
I'm wide open, so whenever
I'll
you got
come
time.
through again. And like I said, even with my videocast situation, that's why we're doing. I think it's going to be a dozen episodes, on it, because each episode is probably about 2 or 3 parter.
Okay.
We have to split it up. It's so much information, and we're going really deep in depth. With a lot of stuff. We're beating the street.
That's awesome. That's another thing I wanted to touch on real quick too, is that the marketing for any projects you got going, I'd be happy to help get that out there. I mean, I'm a small guy here, but I'm willing to help anybody in these situations. So
same here. And anybody out there, remember, you can always Google Cooley Jaxson. That's Jaxson, and see anything that I have going. And the reason why I use Jaxson, because I'm different from the Janet, the Freddys, the Michaels, everybody else that use Jackson.
So
I put Jackson.
Is the Jaxson, is that your legal spelling?
That is not my legal spelling. That is my commercial spelling.
Gotcha.
If I am a Jackson, but when you could type in Cooley Jaxson as well. You could do that way as well. But when you change your last name or lettering or something like that, you become your own. So it separates me from everybody else. Yeah. So it's like if you type in Cooley Jaxson, you may see some other Cooley Jacksons, and you got to search for me or see, oh, there he is. And I could be down the list or a different page or whatever. Yeah. But if it's Jaxson, I'm going to be right there, front page, first person. Bam.
Yeah, I looked it up the other day. I pulled it up on Google, and that was the first thing that popped up.
Exactly. Pictures and
your
everything.
Picture, everything. Yeah. And it said you were a music.
We'll talk about that next.
Recording artist or something like that.
I'm making very good money off that. Good money for what it's worth.
Right.
If I was mainstream, I would be wealthy.
Yeah.
But
if you did it full time, doing your thing that way.
if it was promoted correctly,
Right.
if I was with a company that put money behind what I'm doing, but with just the small little stuff that I'm doing, you know, making $5,000 here and there, it's just a slap on the wrist. It's
Yeah.
not like people do that within an hour.
Yeah.
I did it within a year.
Yeah. You can't, I mean, money's money at the end of the day. That's pretty
Like
cool
I
to
said,
be able to collect.
It's no complaints. It's just that I'm kicking them all out, and I have the cool thing is that I have 150,000 fans with my music. So that's the cool thing.
Yeah.
The hard thing is turning that into money,
Yeah.
because when you're independent, you give, you listen,
Right.
you give, you get the response. Okay, you're giving. How do you get them to buy it?
Yeah.
To download it. That is the transition I'm going over to now.
Yeah.
And I'm recording new music, which I played a little bit for you now. And the new music is going to be the changeover, because they're asking every time, when are you coming out with some new music? When are you coming out with some new music?
Yeah.
Now I can say, well, go to this site. And now they know what I can do. Now it's a good chance that they'll pay, 99 cents to download something. Oh. Yep, that's it.
That's the timer telling us it's time for Cooley to get going. So
Yeah.
thank you again, sir. We're going to do this again soon. So for those of you that are out there listening, stay tuned. We're gonna probably do, I don't know, one or two more of these. Just depends on what happens. So
That's right.
good luck to you on the.
Well, thank you for having me.
On your-
I'll see you again, I promise.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We will see you next time.